Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're exploring quite a fascinating story from history. Haji Hirsi Awaale Ubeysh. He became this really wealthy, influential figure back in the 1930s in British Somaliland.
Yeah, it's a great story. Our main source, Haji Hirsi Awaale Ubeysh, Awdal's richest man, really paints a picture of just how remarkable his success was for that specific time and place.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. Northwestern Somalia under British colonial administration, building up a serious fortune then, especially, before you're even 40. That's something else.
It really is. The source highlights his natural business talent, his entrepreneurial skill.
Mhm.
That seemed to be key in him building significant wealth, even with all the global turmoil happening, like World War I and the lead up to World War II.
What do you think helped him thrive in that kind of, well, challenging environment?
Well, it's interesting to speculate, isn't it? The existing trade routes must have been important. His understanding of those networks, maybe getting in good with local leaders or perhaps even the British authorities to some extent,
Yeah.
that could have given him an edge.
Yeah, makes sense. And the specific things he traded in early on must have played a part too.
Definitely. That leads us right to his company, the Ubeysh Company, Ltd. By 1938, it apparently had around 40 vehicles,
Mm.
operating across Somalia, Djibouti, Ethiopia. 40 vehicles.
40 vehicles then, that must have been a huge deal, a massive operation.
Oh, absolutely. It shows a serious level of organization and capital, too.
Hmm.
Running a fleet like that, it suggests he really understood logistics, commerce across borders, even with the colonial setup.
Then World War II happens, a global disaster, obviously, but for Haji Hirsi, it initially looks like a boom time.
It seems so. The source mentions his company getting these pretty lucrative contracts,
Mhm.
supplying food specifically to the Italian military when they occupied British Somaliland.
Quite the pivot, and the source says immense profits came from this.
Yes, wartime economies often create these, well, unexpected windfalls, don't they? His ability to sort of capitalize on the Italian presence, even though it's temporary, clearly gave his wealth a massive boost.
But that prosperity didn't last, did it?
No. The British came back towards the end of the war, regained control, and that's when things apparently turned sour for Ubeysh Company. The source suggests a deliberate effort to cripple it,
Deliberate. By whom?
allegedly through a British-backed firm called BIS. It really sounds like the changing political tides directly hit his business hard.
Wow. It really highlights how vulnerable local businesses could be under colonial rule, doesn't it?
It does. The idea that the British might have deliberately undermined him, maybe to favor their own interests or just reshape the economy, it raises big questions.
And this kicked off a long legal fight, right? Haji Hirsi versus BIS.
That's right. A lengthy lawsuit. He did win, eventually,
Yeah.
but crucially, the compensation he received was apparently much, much less than what he'd actually lost.
So a legal win, but not really a financial recovery. A tough lesson.
And the source notes that the specific details of that whole dispute are still a bit unclear. Lost records, perhaps, or just the power dynamics of the time burying the full story.
Still, the scale of his operation at its peak, the largest private fleet of vehicles in northern Somalia, he was undeniably a major economic force.
No question about it. He was a big deal in the region.
Now, here's a really interesting twist, a connection I didn't expect. One of his drivers, who was also a close relative, Abdi Dekiwarfa, better known as Abdi Sinemo.
Ah, yes. Abdi Sinemo, the father of modern Somali music.
Exactly. He worked for Haji Hirsi. Isn't that something? This transportation empire, in a way, connects to the birth of modern Somali music.
It's a fascinating link, isn't it? You wonder if the transport network itself, maybe the movement of people and ideas it enabled, sort of indirectly helped create the environment for that cultural shift, for urban music to develop through people like Abdi Sinemo.
We'll have to explore Abdi Sinemo's legacy another time, but the connection is remarkable. So, despite reaching these incredible heights, Haji Hirsi's business empire basically collapsed.
Yes, the political and economic shifts during and after World War II in British Somaliland seemed to be the direct cause. It wasn't just a slow decline. It sounds quite abrupt.
And the source links his personal downfall to a wider downturn in the Awdal region after the war. His story mirrors the region's fate, in a way.
Precisely. His individual story really reflects those bigger historical forces.
The source also mentions he passed away in 1982, Haji Hirsi Awaale Badid. So looking back, it's this dramatic arc, isn't it? Incredible early success, regional dominance.
Followed by a really significant fall, driven by these huge political and economic changes he couldn't control.
It really underscores how much global events, political decisions can shape or even break individual lives and fortunes.
Absolutely. And thinking about that unexpected link to Abicenimo,
Yeah.
it just makes you think, doesn't it? How interconnected things can be, how history ripples outwards in ways you might never predict, linking, a trucking business to the sound of a nation's music.
A great point to reflect on. How history shapes not just wealth, but culture too, all intertwined. Thanks for digging into this with us today.